Hi there, good noon and welcome to our session on something special. So we so very often talk about English and Quant and DI and LR, and all those things are immensely important. But today we plan to go ahead and talk about what? Time management. So at the end of the day, our success depends on a lot of different factors. One of those factors is acquiring the right knowledge, getting the right kind of skills, and those things can be acquired from this channel, your own channel, BYJU'S Exam Prep. So if you're new here, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you get to access every session, so that you get a notification for every session that we bring in. My name is Vikrant. I act as your personal coach for all things related to English, communication skills, and psychological aspects of the preparation. And this topic belongs to this last category. So apart from all those things, you also need to manage yourself well. You need to cultivate the right kind of habits. And without those things, it can be a struggle. So before I dive into talking about time management, I want to give a quick reminder that although I know that you're preparing for CAT 24, but it is never too early to start writing mocks. They tell you where you stand with respect to everyone else in the country, and that can always be a very nice, very relevant metric for you to go ahead for. So we have our All India Open Mock going on right now as we speak. The window will close on 8th October, so make sure that you go ahead, register yourself, and then sit for this particular exam. And let's have a look at this. This is going to set the tone for our session rather nicely. So being successful does not make you manage your time well. However, managing your time well is going to make you very successful, and that is why we have this exact session planned for you today, where we will talk about how you can go on to manage your time very well. So to dive into specifics, I have 3 particular objectives in my mind. The first one is you need to figure out where your time goes. All of us wake up every morning, we get 24 hours. We need to know where the time is spent. Thereafter, we need to figure out the true nature of time management. There are times when we have some misconceptions, and those misconceptions lead us astray. And then finally, we need to learn some actionable strategies to use our time efficiently so that we are able to move towards our goals. So that's what I am going to talk about. So if you happen to have any question, any concern, anything whatsoever, make sure that you use the chat window down below rather liberally, and I would love to answer your specific questions. So let's go ahead and work on the first item on the agenda, figuring out where the time goes, or in other words, where does it go? So I think it's very important for us to have this realization. So for instance, during the lockdown and this work from home phase, I ended up putting on some weight. And I wondered that I haven't really changed my lifestyle that much, except for the fact that I work from home. My movement patterns are probably a little less than what they were earlier. But then I was compensating for them by walking a little more. And yet I was like, yeah, why am I putting on weight? I still could not figure that out. And that is where, maintaining a food log came into picture. I actually started jotting down all the things that I was eating, and that suddenly led to this clarity that, hey, there was this extra snacking which was happening that I was not even aware of. So similarly, when it comes to finding out where the time goes, it is important for us to track our time. And how do we track it? We track it by maintaining a log. So everything that you do, right? So let us say that you studied, or you attended college, or you engaged in a lot of maintenance activities. So maintenance activities are, of course, your daily routines, things like eating food and then sleeping and taking a shower, everything. Then any leisure activity that you engaged in, virtually anything that you did, even if that was doing nothing, if it took you more than 10 minutes, you are supposed to write it down. And of course, it is going to happen retrospectively. So you can either, you did something and you jot it down in the diary immediately afterwards, or maybe you can capture it at the end of the day, whatever works for you. But for the next 7 days, let's track our time. So the reason is, a lot of people come to me and say, I don't have enough time. Now they may be right, they may be wrong. The time log lets us find out whether they were actually right, or it was just a misconception that they had, where in reality they had time, but that time was being spent in an unproductive fashion. So just a week, just 7 days, and it will give you really deep insights into where you stand vis-a-vis time, whether you actually have time or not. And in case you actually do not have time, the strategies required are going to be different. Okay, so please make sure that you go ahead and track your time for the next 7 days. I seem to have a power cut at my place, so I'm just removing my video for a very brief while, but I am going to be with you, and once the power comes back, the video will also come back. Okay, so now let us dive into this second area, which is, what is time management? We said that we want to look at the true nature of time management. So if I ask you about what time management is, what is going to be your answer to this rather simple, rather straightforward question? So what is time management? Go ahead, give it a thought and share it with me. So you've thought of the answer? A lot of people, when I ask them this question, when I ask them to tell me, hey, okay, what is time management? So a lot of people actually think that time management is all about managing time, when in reality, that is not true. Time management is not about managing time. See, and frankly, we cannot even manage time. It is one of those fundamental properties of the universe, or you can call it a dimension of the universe, whichever way you put it, whichever way you've heard of it. But at the end of the day, it is all about getting those 24 hours a day and then making the most of those 24 hours. You cannot do anything about it. You cannot get a minute more or a minute less. So time management as a term is misnomer. It's not about managing time. It is actually about managing ourselves to make the most of the time that we have. And therefore, time management actually requires a lot of introspection. It requires that we look within very, very often, very, very frequently. So this is the first key thing that I want you to keep in your mind, that time management is about managing yourself. And if I want to make it even more specific, I will say that time management is basically attention management. Time management is all about, can you consciously and attentively spend that time and focus on something that you actually wanted to focus on, or something that you should have been focusing on. So that's what time management is fundamentally about. So next time around, when you think of this term, you don't think of time management as managing time. We can't do that. We are not supernatural beings who can tinker with the fabric of space-time. But we can manage ourselves better through acquiring the knowledge of what drives us, what our values are, and through focusing or guiding our attention towards making the most of the time that has been given to us. And now, instead of talking more about theory, let me give you some very actionable things. Okay, things that you can straight away start engaging in. And once I give you the fundamental steps, I'm going to give you 6 extra tips which are going to make you more productive and hopefully even happier. And this combination should ideally translate into a terrific CAT percentile moving forward. So here is my actionable strategy for you. a breakdown, a step-by-step breakdown into the world of time management. Hi Akanksha, a very good afternoon, and I hope you have a pen and a pad ready, because I am going to tell you how you can become an absolute phenomena when it comes to your CAT preparation. Okay, so step 1, dude, set goals. If you do not have goals, then time management makes no sense. Okay, in order to know what you should be doing with your time, it is important to know what you are working towards. So please make sure that you set goals. In fact, if I were to add to it, I will say that maintain a list of things that you want to pursue, that you want to engage in. Now, you may or may not consciously work on that list, but it is important for you to have that list. So, for instance, I happen to have a diary which is my master list. In that master list, I have some professional development goals, I have some personal development goals, I have some health goals and relationship goals and spiritual development goals and fairy godmother goals, relationship goals. So goals of all these different categories. Okay, now of course we have a finite amount of time in a day, just 24 hours. You cannot do everything within those 24 hours. So what I do is that I pick up one goal, I start working on it, and then I see, do I have more time now? If I happen to have more time, I will add one more goal. If I'm still left with more time, I'll probably pick up and add another goal. Right? So this basically ensures that at any given point of time, I'm living a goal-oriented life. I'm working on things that really matter to me. And a mistake that I often see people make is that they set tiny goals. Which is not right. I was reading this book, I'm not able to recall the name, but they talked about BHAG goals. So what is BHAG? BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. So it should be a big goal, because it's the big things, big goals that motivate us, that drive us forward. Hairy, it is so big that it makes you a little scared. You question yourself. You have these self-doubts about whether you can attain that goal or not. And audacious is where if somebody else listens to this goal, that person will laugh, look at you and laugh, you can't do that, come on. But then those are the kind of goals that drive us forward in a way that is sustainable. If you're all pragmatic all the time, I don't think that is going to cut it. So please make sure that you have goals, and keep the number of goals realistic. Whenever you see that the activities that you're supposed to perform and the time that you have, there is a mismatch, you have less time and more activities, prioritize, cut back on one or more of those goals, right? And big, hairy, audacious goals. Thereafter, step 2 is you have a goal. Now, how about figuring out what you and I would typically call the syllabus? So if I want to achieve this goal, what all am I supposed to do? What all am I supposed to go through or acquire? So considering that you and I are meeting because we are preparing for the CAT, or rather I'd say we are meeting because we want to get into our Dream B school, you need to see what all does getting into a Dream B school involve. It involves a written exam, right? CAT, ZAT, GMAT, whatever. It involves a personal interview plus an essay at a lot of places nowadays, and maybe some more things depending upon what your Dream B school is. Additionally, some part of the weightage will be given to your profile. So your syllabus is anything that helps you excel at these 3 things. So right now, if I confine myself to just the CAT in order to demonstrate the point, then you know what all we have in CAT? CAT has these 3 sections. So you have VARC, you have DILR, you have quantitative aptitude. So look at each one of these three sections and divide these sections into some sort of chapters or skills. Some knowledge that you need to acquire, some chapters that you need to go through, some learning objectives that are involved, or some skills that you need to develop, you need to possess in order to go on and become excellent. Okay, so do that. And I've actually made it easy for you. Some 3 weeks ago, I took a session where I've gone ahead and talked about these exact things. So you don't have to kind of make your own list. You can go back and refer to that video and go through the list that I already shared with you when I talked about preparing for CAT 24. No, CAT 24 preparation strategy. Today is more about time management, but preparation strategy. And apart from this, you obviously also need to work on your communication skills, spoken as well as writing skills. Speaking skills and writing skills, because PI is all about speaking, VAT is all about writing. And apart from that, you also need to ensure that you do whatever it takes to get a good score in your college, because that will also count for something when you eventually go ahead and join a B school. Okay, so do that. So figure out that entire syllabus. So now you know that you are supposed to go through this entire syllabus before your CAT 24. In fact, why wait till CAT? Can I say that as far as CAT goes, we want to finish all of this by the 15th of August 2024. So that's your deadline. You know, freedom from syllabus next year. You'd go ahead and cover everything by then. Okay. Now that you have this deadline of 15th of August, how many months do we have? Approximately 11. Let's make it 10. So you have around 10 months. So what do we do in those 10 months? Let's see. The total amount of syllabus, okay, the total number of chapters or units or skills, whatever that is, whatever that number is. You know, skills are supposed to be worked on every day, but for chapters, divide those chapters into monthly targets. Okay, so just decide what is it that you want to achieve every month. Okay, so break it down. So let us say that you were supposed to go through 100 units or 100 chapters, and you have 10 months. So if you break it down, you'd realize that you are supposed to go through 10 units every month, right? And then take it a step further. See, a month is a long time period. What if at the end of the month you realize that, hey, you slacked off, you could not or did not do all that was required of you? So if you realize that at the end of a month, you would have there is a possibility that the entire month went waste. So how about dividing the monthly target into weekly targets and then reviewing our performance every week? Makes sense, right? So your weekly targets are in sync with your monthly targets. Your monthly targets are in sync with your overall syllabus plus the timeline, the deadline that you really have. So what do you do now that you have these two things? Make sure that you have your daily targets which are in sync with your weekly targets, and then monthly targets, and then the overall targets. So the daily targets are known as the step 4, which is make a to-do list. Now, when do you make it? I prefer making it every evening. So every night before I hit the sack, I make a to-do list for the next day. There are a lot of people who would wake up and then make that to-do list. Whatever works for you, it's absolutely all right. So you either do it the last thing a day before, or you do it the first thing on that particular day. Now, you could be somebody who can raise an objection here. Your objection could be, RC, Vikrant, यार मैंने बनाई बॉस जिंदगी में टू डू लिस्ट करा मैंने ये काम पास्ट में. I have made to-do lists in the past. I realized they don't work for me. I'm not able to finish those tasks. So let me talk about 4 things that will increase your chances, your ability to stick to that to-do list manifold. So here are those 4 things. Number 1. Think of your to-do list as a plan of your day and not as a plan of just your studies. This is one of those mistakes that a lot of people make. They just write down things that they need to study. But see, to-do list is all about what all you want to do tomorrow. It's not about what all you want to study tomorrow. So anything that you're doing. So for example, let us say that you are planning to watch a movie tomorrow. Or you are going out with your friends tomorrow, or maybe there is a cousin of yours who's coming back, or perhaps you are supposed to go and attend a wedding or a birthday party, whatever it is. You intend to play a video game. Dude, whatever it is, it should find a place there. So one of the reasons why people are not able to stick to a to-do list is that they make the to-do list too crowded, too unrealistic by focusing on just the studies. But the truth is, there is a day when I'm going to watch a movie, there is a day when I'm not watching a movie. There is a difference of a good 3.5 hours between those 2 days. The day I'm watching a movie, I have 200 minutes less. So I'd not be able to study as much on that day. So in order to keep that plan realistic, I need to learn to list down everything. Okay, that's one. Number 2, keep it task oriented and not time oriented. Now, what do I mean by this? I see a lot of people who would write things like quantitative aptitude 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Right? Vocabulary 6:15 p.m. to 6:40 p.m. Why would you do that? This is essentially a time oriented list. That is how the schedules in schools are made. But that's not how you can really work. Now imagine if I need to travel 100 kilometers and I happen to have 5 days and I can only walk, I do not have any access to any vehicle, and then I write my daily plan where my daily plan says that walk from 12 noon to 2:30 p.m. Does that make sense to you? Why would I do that? Why would I walk for 2.5 hours, 12 noon to 2:30 p.m. or 6 to 8, whatever? That makes no sense. Right? At the end of the day, I need to cover 100 kilometers on those 5 days, which means that every day I need to walk for 20 kilometers irrespective of the time that it takes. So it may happen in 2 hours, it may take 4 hours, it may take 6 hours, I don't know. Whatever it takes, I will do it. So the second one is task oriented. The first one is time oriented. I don't want you to have time oriented things. I want you to have task oriented things. Okay, so you not write QA 4 to 6:30. You will write the task that you want to achieve, and the task should also be stated in a very specific manner and not a vague manner. Right? So you'd write, okay, in QA, I plan to look at time, speed, distance, BYJU'S exam prep book, exercise 1, questions 1 to 23. This is specific, this is binary. So at the end of the day, if you've gone through these 23 questions, you have met your target. If you've not gone through these questions, you've not met these targets. Similarly, I think the other example that I gave was of vocabulary. So just to write that I'm going to study vocab for 25 minutes may not be a great idea, but how about adding that I am going to read Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis, where my goal for the day is to finish sessions 6 and 7. Otherwise, learning a word is vocabulary, learning multiple words is also, well, you learn one word, that's learning vocabulary. You learn 50 words, that's also vocabulary. So whether you are right on target or not, that will not be, you'll not be in a position to figure that out. Victor has a question which is not related to the topic, but let's address it. Can we do a PhD, a doctorate after MBA? So if you have done an MBA, it is a postgraduate degree, and after a degree you can definitely go ahead and do your doctorate. Or you may also go ahead and engage in something called a fellowship program, which is sort of a doctorate equivalent thing. So you can look at that as well. So I hope that answers your question. So make your to-do list task oriented, and even those tasks are supposed to be very specific. And here is one last thing: put the big rocks in first. Chances are that you've probably heard of this story before, but let me go ahead and talk about it. So one fine day, a professor walked into a classroom. He had a backpack and a backpack on his back and a glass jar in his hand. So he entered the room. He kept the glass jar on the table, and then he took off his backpack. He opened it, and he took out a polythene from his backpack. That polythene had some pieces of rock in it. He started putting those pieces of rock in that glass jar until the jar was full. Then he looked at everybody and asked, "Hey, can we put anything more in this glass jar?" So a lot of people looked at the jar and they're like, "No, this is full now, we can't put anything else in." So the professor once again took out another poly bag from his backpack. That poly bag happened to have a lot of pebbles. You know, कंकर, छोटे छोटे कंकर, वो जो thirsty crow ने डाले थे घड़े में, right? So he started pouring those pebbles in, shaking the jar, pouring some more, shaking the jar until the jar was once again full to the brim. And now he asked everyone, "Can we put something into the jar now?" By now some people were smart and they're like, "Whoa, looks like a trick question." Some said no, but then there were some who said that, "Sir, I think we can put something else." The professor looked at those and said, "Excellent." He took out another poly bag from his backpack, which was full of sand, and he started pouring that sand in the glass jar, shaking it in between to make the sand settle and take all the room. And he filled the glass jar to the brim with sand. And now when he looked at everybody and asked, "Can we put anything else now?" People were now skeptical because it was visibly full. So professor had a cup of coffee lying on his table, which was full of coffee. He picked it up and poured it in. And that cup of coffee also went in. He poured some water until it was full to the brim. So there was something else that could go in there even now. So what is the moral of the story according to you? What's the moral of the story? What do you learn from it? Victor, executive MBA, is that different? Yes, it is different on two counts. Number one, you need to have work experience. That's mandatory. And usually you need to have significant work experience. It's only then that you can benefit from executive MBA. And number two, the executive MBA programs are usually shorter, smaller. They typically be year-long. So lessons. Now I'm sure there are a lot of morals that we can draw from that story, a lot of lessons that you can learn. But there is one particular lesson that I want you to keep in mind, and that lesson is put the big rocks in first. If you pour pebbles before you put the big rocks, you'll not be able to fit in those big rocks in. So for to-do list, the utility here is there are tasks that you find challenging. Or these are tasks probably that you find boring, you know, tasks that you don't feel like doing. So do these tasks first. The more thankless a task is, the more strong the resistance is towards a particular task, the sooner you go ahead and deal with that task. Because if you don't do that, your entire day will be full with pebbles and these big rocks will remain out. So a lot of people, when they work, when they study, they tend to start with the easier things. It's easy, right? It's fun. But then when you do that, you realize that you fail to work on your weaknesses, and therefore it is important for you to flip it. There is a Chinese quote which, when translated into English, means eat that frog first. If you're sitting down to eat a meal, you need to ensure that you, and you have to eat a frog, then make sure that you eat that frog first. Otherwise, you'll finish the rest of the meal and you'd still have to eat that frog, but you'd not even be able to enjoy that the rest of the meal. So please make sure that you do that. विक्टर, जिंदगी में और कोई काम है नहीं क्या? हमें पढ़ते ही रहेंगे क्या? हम MBA करेंगे, फिर उसके बाद में हम कुछ साल काम करेंगे, फिर एग्जीक्यूटिव MBA. क्यों भाई, मतलब काहे को करना है अपने को ये सब कुछ जिंदगी में? But technically, can you do that? Yes, you can. Will it be useful? I doubt it. Maybe. Let's see. Do I know people who've done that? Yes, I know 2 individuals who've actually done that. But in their case, one of those individuals did his MBA from IFT immediately after his graduation. Then he worked in a particular job for 6-7 years. After that, he went for an executive MBA to the US. So, can be done, but it's rare. So that's step 4, make a to-do list. So your to-do list is in sync with your weekly targets, which are in sync with your monthly targets, which are in sync with your overall goals. So step 5 is schedule a fixed day every week where you check your progress. So for instance, for me, my fixed day is Tuesday morning. So every Tuesday morning, I sit down and check whether I have managed to do everything that I wanted to do over the course of last 7 days or not. If not, in case I could not do that, then I put in those tasks on priority, and I do it Tuesday morning because Tuesdays and Wednesdays are relatively light for me. I have less workload on those days, so I can work extra hours and cover it all up. And with that, now let me go ahead and talk about some extra tips that will take you to the next level. So here is tip 1. Know your personal prime time. You know what a prime time is? Prime time is the time at which you tend to work the best. So are you one of those people who like to get up before the sunrise and start working? Or do you feel more active early in the evening or maybe after dinner? Or are you somebody like me who would prefer the quiet of the late night hours to deal with the really hard, difficult, demanding tasks? I don't know. Everyone is different. Okay. Most of the research generally says that the tasks that require the maximum concentration are most effectively accomplished early in the day. But even these studies acknowledge that this is not always true, as everyone has a personal prime time. So whenever you plan your task, think of your prime time. If you do your best work early, plan to do your challenging tasks early and the routine tasks later. On the other hand, if you don't get going until later, handle the routines in the morning and then shift all those other tasks to late evenings. So know when you are at your productive best, and then work accordingly. The second thing that you can do, tip number 2, is time blocking and monotasking. So time blocking is where you block chunks of time. So every day make sure that you have one large chunk of time blocked for your CAT preparation. So when I say a large chunk of time, I am talking about roughly around 3 hours, if not more. So just schedule one 3-hour block. Okay, so for instance, let us say I am somebody who works well late in the evenings. So I may decide that, dude, every evening from 9:30 p.m. to, in fact, 12:30 a.m. I'm going to work on the cat prep for sure. And the rest of the day, I'd of course schedule different tasks the rest of the days as well, but because I happen to have one 3-hour time block, even if I manage to put in some tiny, 50-60 minute windows of study during the rest of the day 2-3 times, I would have hit 6 to 7 hours of study in no time. And I also believe in monotasking. So in any particular time block, I'm not going to mix up multiple things. I will focus on just one thing at any particular point of time. So time blocking and monotasking, work with these. Tip 3, manage the distractions. So I'm saying manage, I'm not saying avoid. You cannot avoid distractions, but you can manage. So can you figure out all the things that distract you? For instance, in work from home, one of the problems with me was that the family members distracted me a lot. So what did I do? I allocated a space within my house which I started calling my office. In fact, I'm taking this session from the desk at the moment. Okay, and there are days when I have guests over. So on those days, what do? I have a friend who runs a digital marketing agency nearby. I may go to his office. So that's my friend's place, friend's office. Or there is a particular cafeteria where I like the coffee and where I don't have very many people coming during the day. It becomes crowded only during the evenings. Or I have a list of 3 public libraries around me where I can go sit and study in peace and quiet. So find a quiet corner. It can be a friend's house for you, a cafeteria for you, a library for you. Within your house, if you have the luxury of multiple rooms and you can close a door and sit there and study where everybody knows that when you are in there, they're not supposed to bother you. Fabulous. So try doing that. Additionally, one of the distractions is this extra work that comes your way through friends, family, colleagues. So please learn to say no to the work that you cannot perform. Right? So you are of course supposed to help everybody. But then there are times when life gives you a lot of work already and you're not in a position to take on more responsibilities. So frankly, when you say no to people, it is not about closing the door on things that you're supposed to do. Rather, it is about making sure that you can meet your commitments and accomplish the maximum possible in the time that is available to you. Right? So generally, I have adopted 3 principles that help me say no. So the first principle is that I've realized that I cannot do everything. I only have a finite amount of time. The second thing is that if I know that I'm not going to be able to finish a task within the deadline, I'll not agree to take on that task or that project. Okay, and I communicate it clearly. I ask, okay, by when do you want it? If they say that we want it by time X and I do not have the bandwidth to do it by then, I'll politely decline. There are different ways in which you can always say no. And third and the last, I will not make any commitment that is not consistent with the goal and objectives that I have for myself. So that typically is another thing that helps. And now to talk about the factor that distracts us the most. Our cell phone, our social media, right? So first up, create barriers between you and your favorite social media apps. How? If you have all your apps on your phone, it's so easy to access them, but why do you need to do that? Delete these apps from your phone. So whenever you want to check your Instagram, read up Twitter, browse, open your laptop, go to Twitter's website, sign into your own account and then check, then browse. Don't even keep it running on your phone. So that extra step involved where you need to go to a computer and then log in would most of the times dissuade you. And then you don't need to avoid those social media apps completely. How about scheduling social media breaks? So the moment you say, yeah, I'm not going to go on Instagram, that'll be a bit too much. But how about telling it to yourself that, okay, I am going to check my social media account once every 2 hours for 10 minutes. And once those 10 minutes are over, just move out. It's easier said than done, I know, but then try doing it. And hopefully you'd find it working better for you. Okay, then tip 4, use your waiting time. So there is a lot of time that goes waste because we are waiting. So it could be waiting for a class to start, waiting for your appointment, waiting for your transport, waiting in the transport to reach your destination. You know, you're traveling by a bus, a cab, a car, whatever. If you are not the one who's doing that driving, you have that time. So make sure that you use all of these time windows for some specific tasks, especially tasks that involve acquiring knowledge in small chunks. So you can read up on a transport. If you know that you have just 2-3 minutes, you can probably work on your vocabulary and your GK, and those things will also help. Then tip number 5, 3 Ds. Whatever task that you have, at the end of the day, it is going to belong to one of these 3 categories, right? It is a task that you need to do, or it is a task that you need to delegate, or it is a task that you need to delete. So engage in do, delegate, delete very frequently with the tasks which are available on your plate. And the best way to do that is to divide your day into 4 quadrants, 4 boxes. So here's your day, okay? It is one single large box. How about dividing it into 4 boxes? So in your day, you can go ahead and engage in things that are important, or you can engage in things that are not important, right? Similarly, you can engage in things that are urgent or things that are not urgent. So that leads to 4 different types of tasks for you. So you have a task which is important and urgent. So because it is urgent, you have to take care of it right now. This becomes your top priority, right? Then you have tasks which are important but not urgent. For example, and you'd be shocked at it, CAT preparation, studying for your college exams. These are the kind of things which are important but not urgent. You know why? Every year we know that we are going to have exams in a few months from now. If I study for it today, study for those exams today, it's important, but it is not urgent. So a lot of us shift tasks from INU box to IU box. We wait, we delay, we procrastinate. So you need to essentially live here. There are very few tasks that come in your life which are important and urgent. Most of them are shifted from INU. So if you start taking care of INU tasks, you'd be able to leave IU free for actual emergencies, actual contingencies. Then you have tasks which are not important but urgent, and then finally tasks which are neither important nor urgent. So ideally, if I were to once again label these 2 are do, this is delegate, and this is delete, or if not delete, at least minimize. So you get the drift? So I hope that helps. That will help you determine do, delegate, delete. And in case you do not know what important means, is then anything which takes you towards your goals is important. Anything that does not take you towards your goals is not important. The goals can be whatever. And here is one last tip. Look at this lounge chair. Look at this quiet corner. So make sure that you always take some time out for yourself, where you are doing things that relax you, doing things that you find enjoyable. It can be curling up with a book, it can be spending time with a special person, it can be spending time with some friends. Always keep some time out for yourself, and don't forget to celebrate your success. And the success is not always about goals. Even a day well spent is a successful day. Even a milestone reached towards that goal is a success, and make sure that you celebrate your successes. You give yourself a pat on the back, and you give yourself a reward for doing the job well. So if you keep these things in mind, I have no doubt that you will be able to perform your job really very well without compromising on your sanity and your efficiency. Okay? And let me end this with a thought. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So I'm sure you will plan and you will spend your time productively. If you enjoyed working with me, don't forget to like the video. And once again, a reminder that you're supposed to write the All India Open mock within the next 2 days. Write it by 7th. Why even wait for the 8th, right? And thereafter, if you want more practice, we are running this series of NMAT 23 crash course. There are these sessions that you have been attending every day at 7 p.m. So you can do that. For even more practice, you can consider enrolling for our test series. And if you need more extensive help, we run a really comprehensive CAT program. We also have batches for CAT 24. The slide says 23, but even CAT 24 programs, we in fact already have a couple of batches running. So you can benefit from those. And how would you know these courses are good? Of course, it has all these features that are listed here, but then don't take my word for it. Check out our results. We've produced stellar results in the past, and you can actually attend the batch without any cost to you. You can unlock a 3-day free trial, join a batch, and see how we teach and what all we do. Additionally, we will be conducting a scholarship test on 7th of October. That should also help you make up your mind on this soon. Right? So that's it that I have brought for you today. It was absolutely lovely and fabulous working with you. Until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch, keep working hard, and use your time wisely. Take care. Have a nice day ahead.